you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, we are fresh off a trip to Lake Placid for the ECAC championships, which Cornell ended up winning over Dartmouth in the final. Congratulations to head coach Schaefer on continuing his career. He has still yet to play his last game. He will move on into the NCAA tournament. Just your Pierre, your take on the tournament on the ice and on the experience in general.
Well, the experience never gets old. You know, it's an amazing place to go watch hockey. The venue is fantastic. The village is tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
The hospitality, whether you're in a restaurant, whether you're in a bar, whether you're in a coffee shop, whether you're in a bakery, whether you're in the hotel lobby, everybody's just family friendly and fan friendly. It's phenomenal. In terms of Coach Schaefer, they were the better team. They were the better team all weekend. I thought they had a little divine intervention in their semifinal game with Quinnipiac when they scored a shorthanded goal to tie the game late with less than 3 minutes to go in the game. Then they took advantage of a power play in overtime, but they were able to do it. And I think part of why they were able to do it, Jimmy, the composure of being the head coach of Cornell for over 30 years, he didn't get rattled. I watched him. I broadcast the game and I watched him, and he was really calm. He was calmer than I've usually seen him, Jimmy. Like, he's a bit of a fire plug on the bench. But no, he was good. And so I'm happy for him. I felt bad for JF Houle. I thought, by the way, post-game remarks from JF Houle were outstanding. I was at his press conference after they lost a championship game. I thought he handled himself fantastically well. A great tribute to, first of all, the search committee that hired him at Clarkson. And secondly, the way he was raised. And thirdly, and I mean this, he's a hockey smart guy. Like, he set that thing up the other night post-game, sending a subtle little message to his players that are returning. We've got guys coming. But our goal has not been achieved. We want to be a national tournament team. And that's what we're going to work for. And so I was really impressed by him. But I'm happy for Mike Schaefer. I competed against Mike a long time ago, and I couldn't have been happier for him. Really, really happy for him and the entire University of Cornell.
Yep, and of course we had him on the eye test here last Thursday, along with the three other ECAC coaches, and it was great talking to him, looking back on his career, and then also in the present here. And Pierre, before we go on to, I just want to thank everyone at the ECAC, Doug Christensen, Nick, Julia, Alexa, the whole staff. It was amazing to us while we were there. The High Peaks Hotel, the Bluebird Hotel, Lake Placid Pub and Brewery, Romer's where we were, and of course the Olympic Center crew as well. Just a fantastic job by everyone involved there. And I really look forward to hopefully going there again next year.
Oh, it was a smashing success. Commissioner Christensen and his deputy commissioner, Nick, deserve a lot of credit. So do all the interns that work for the ECAC. That thing was jammed on Saturday night. That was a massive crowd. They deserve, again, a lot of credit. Now, obviously, Clarkson's in there, Cornell's in there. So you got a central New York team, Cornell, and an upstate New York team, Clarkson, and they both travel really well. But I also think it's becoming kind of a rite of spring for people to go to Lake Placid, make the pilgrimage, even if their teams aren't in. I was getting text messages from people that I knew that were huge Colgate fans that were there. Colgate got beat by Cornell, in the quarterfinal round. They were there, and I know people that were there from Harvard, and I know people that were there that are Princeton fans. So I saw a lot of different people that were there who had no rooting interest. They just wanted to go to Lake Placid. Yeah,
it is. And that was my first time there, Pierre. I know you've been there a million times, but it's unreal. What a town. Just there's something about it. It's not just the fact of what took place there in 1980. It's just there's a wonderful hockey community feel to that town. I mean, I'm talking to some of the bar staff at Lake Placid Pub and Brewery, and the majority of them are also hockey coaches, so it's like everyone's got some connection to the game there. And you could feel it as you walked around, and they were just so friendly. Like I said to you, I felt like I was up in Canada, or maybe even, it felt like what I'm told the Maritimes are like in Canada, where everybody's just very friendly and they make you feel right at home.
There's just no mountains in the Maritimes, but yeah, no, it's pretty similar. In terms of the people and the passion for life and to be hospitable. I agree with you. I think that's really well said. But again, it's something that never gets old for me. I still get butterflies when I see the 4 teams that go there. I was fortunate enough as a coach to compete in the same event and eventually win it. So I know what a lot of them are going through, and I have tons of respect for the process and what they do to get there. I really do.
Yep, it's amazing. And of course, all the other conferences finished as well. We do have the tournament brackets set. Pierre, what was your initial reaction to the brackets that came out yesterday?
The Quinnipiac. No, I don't want to be honest on this one. I don't. The Quinnipiac Yukon game is going to be special. That's going to be an interesting one. The BU Ohio State game is going to be special. That's a tough one. That's really tough. And I know people are saying, "Oh, Boston College, they're the first seed." I'm telling you right now, I watch Bentley play a bunch. They're well coached. They play a very unique style. It's not fun to play against them at all. Holy Cross found that out last weekend, and when most people were anointing them the champions. People couldn't have been more wrong. Bentley took it to them. So that's going to be one to watch. You know, I think BC obviously has had some time off now after they got beat by Northeastern at Boston College almost 2 weeks ago. So, you know, the other guys, Bentley, they've been playing. They're tournament ready. So that's going to be off the start. You don't say it about all the games, but I can tell you, of all the games that are there, the one where you watch the start, and if they get a bad start, Boston College will be in trouble. You better have a good start if you're them.
I 100% agree with you, Pierre. And, you know, I think we've seen that in pro hockey as well sometimes when a top seed goes up against one of those teams that just make it in. And, you know, nobody's really talking about them, but these guys are riding that momentum into the postseason. So I agree with you on that. Interesting tidbit. I thought you'd find this cool, Pierre. Mark Diver, longtime college hockey writer.
Providence guy, big Providence guy.
When they got seeded, when Boston University ended up going to Toledo for this regional, he says Boston University heading to Toledo, where Mike Eruzione played for the IHL's Gold Diggers before that miracle thing happened. The stories write themselves. Hey, could there be another miracle in store for BU? We will see. But I thought that was an interesting.
Beating Ohio State wouldn't be a miracle. I mean, they're pretty equal teams. The Big Ten was down a little bit this year. Hockey East was up. Hockey East had 6 teams going to the tournament.
Yeah, tied a record.
You know, let's put it this way: Northeastern lost in double overtime to Maine. Maine did a number on UConn the next day. That was a late game. That was a hard game. So I'm just saying, if Northeastern beats, and it's all hypothetical now, obviously, but if Northeastern beats Maine in that game,
you could have 7.
And you could have legitimately had 7 teams in the tournament from Hockey East. This was, and you know, now you're seeing a lot of these kids are getting signed in the NHL. Yep. You know, you broke the Jackson Dorrington story yesterday. So there's going to be more coming. I can tell you right now. The scouts know. The scouts know how deep Hockey East was this year. They know. Yep.
There's going to be definitely more coming out of there. I'm going to just ask you quickly. My alma mater is going to go up against Minnesota. Now, Pierre, I said this to you off the air, and you agree with me. I don't think it's a stretch to say that UMass could beat Minnesota.
No.
Because let's not forget, Minnesota hasn't been that great down the stretch themselves.
Wait a second. They lost to the 40th rated team in the country, Notre Dame, in a 2 out of 3 in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So be careful anointing them national champs. Doesn't mean they can't do it. They got murderers raw weaponry. You know, starting with Jimmy Snuggerud, moving over to Matthew Wood. I mean, they got a lot of firepower there in Minnesota. They do. The one thing I know is, though, the guy that coaches your alma mater, he knows how to coach. And he's going to have a lesser roster on paper, but he'll find a way to make it equal through tactics, if that makes sense to you.
Yep, it does. And I want to remind everybody out there, in case you haven't seen it, I tweeted it yesterday. I set up a NCAA hockey tournament bracket for our wonderful viewers and listeners. So if you go to the iTest Twitter page or X at sickpodNHL, again, that's at sickpodNHL, you'll see it there with the information to join. I'm working on some prizes for the winners, and they will be announced shortly. But go over there if you want to join up, have some fun. You can join our bracket there. Moving on to pro hockey, Pierre, close to where you are right now, the Montreal Canadiens. First of all, before I get into the news of the day for the Canadiens, let's go back to Saturday. I mean, what a comeback. What an exciting game. And more, and this isn't surprising to you and me and anyone familiar with the Bell Center, but more and more, as you're watching the Canadiens from afar on TV, you can just feel the energy in that arena and obviously probably around the city as well. I mean, it's just like you can hardly hear the announcers at times. I saw John Bartlett text me and he's like, this is insane already. And it's not even the playoffs yet. So there's a lot of excitement building there. And that, to me, sometimes you say you lost a point. The Canadiens won a point in that game.
Oh my gosh. Think about how deep they had to come from to get to where they got. When Christian Dvorak scored, now I'm going to be totally transparent. I watched the game today. I was really busy on Saturday. I was really busy Friday, obviously, and I traveled yesterday. And so today I watched the game. And when Dvorak scored to tie it up, that was about as loud a noise. And I've been in that building a lot of times when it's been real loud. And that's about as loud as I've heard it. So that it's great for the fans. It's awesome for the ownership. It's great for the coaching staff. But what it tells the players is the people appreciate what you're doing. Mm-hmm. They really appreciate what you're doing. And that says a lot about how great that franchise is. Like, the franchise is a great franchise. And when I saw it in disrepair for numerous years, it bothered me a lot. And I said it, and I know a lot of people got upset. Doesn't matter. I'm telling the truth. You can't wear rose-colored glasses. And I saw what was going on there, and I was like, this is wrong. This should not be going on there. And, I give Kent a lot of credit. I give Jeff Gorton a lot of credit. But the guy that had to have the most courage to do it is the owner, Jeff Molson. Because if you're going to sign up for this, you can't pull the plug halfway because your friends at the country club are telling you it's bad. You got to say, I'm in it to win it, and we're going to get this thing fixed. And that's how rebuilds, if they work because the ownership had the courage to stand by his conviction.
Yeah. And you mentioned Dvorak there, Pierre. He's become a real big unsung hero for this team. And another guy is Josh Anderson. And you've been raving about him and the way he has, adapted to his new role there and what he does, what he means to that team. Mm-hmm. And for people that think that's a little exaggerated, I've seen people up there saying, oh, they got to get rid of this guy. You still see this on social media, but you're going to get that. For people that don't understand what he means to this team right now, go look at when he got into it with Middleton and Jack-Eye comes flying over and he's ready to go. And Middleton and Jack-Eye end up dropping the gloves there. And I don't know if you caught it, Pierre, when they went back to the bench, Anderson's looking over at Jack-Eye, just gave him a look like, thanks for that.
I think people forget, like, Josh Anderson beat up Tommy Wilson. He beat up Jacob Trouba on a Saturday afternoon up in Boston, in New York, before they went to Boston. Like, he's been in some heavyweight battle. He's not a shy guy, and he's not afraid of that. Arbor's got to do what Arbor's got to do. The guy, and I'm glad you talked about Josh Anderson because he has accepted his role. It's a big part of that. Mm-hmm. But the most improved guy on their team by a mile, it's not even close, is Jaden Struble. It's not even debatable. Not even debatable. He's the most improved player on their team, so he deserves credit for putting the work in. Stefan Robidoux clearly deserves some work for putting the work in with him, or some credit for putting the work in with him. And you can see he's got this great partnership with Lane Hudson. It's made a difference. It's made a difference for Lane. It's made a difference for Jaden.
Yep, and that's a great segue, Pierre. Again, we don't script this, but that's where I was going to go to today's news. Caden Gooley practices, full practice, contact jersey with the team. He is traveling with the team on the road trip. And speaking of Jaden Struble, who's going to come out if Gooley goes in?
I don't know. Maybe
a tough choice, right?
Maybe David Savard, maybe Arbor Jack-Eye. I'd be surprised. I don't think they're taking Struble and Hudson and breaking them up. I don't think they're Matheson and Carrier aren't coming out. Yep. Here's the one thing that there's some important stats. You know me, Jimmy. I'm not into the analytics stuff, but there are stats that matter. Mm-hmm. Montreal in 9 games in April, they have 9 games. Mm-hmm. 6 of them are at home. That's huge for them. In the month of March, they've already played 10 games. The record is 5-1-4. That's huge. The one regulation loss they had was a 1-0 loss at Calgary. Jimmy, that they should have won that game.
Yeah.
Dustin Wolf was the guy that got the job done.
Yeah.
For Calgary. They should have won that game. Just telling you, they should have. So this team, even though they haven't put all those huge point numbers in the bank because they've been getting a lot of loser points, those points matter. Look at the separation point now. Now, if they would have won all those games that, they lost, and they would be past Ottawa.
Yep.
But they're not. But this is the magic, the thing you got to remember now. Coming up 4 games. To talk about numbers. At St. Louis.
Tomorrow.
At Philly.
Thursday.
So there's a day in between from St. Louis to Philly. Philly, Carolina is a back-to-back. Yep. Then Saturday or Sunday afternoon in Florida, that's a 1:00 start. So that Friday night game in Carolina, they got to get right on the plane. They get down there. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. They're going to land in Fort Lauderdale, so that's okay. That's right where their hotel is. So it's quick. It's not a painful voyage. Mm-hmm. But they got to, that's 8 points on the line. If they're really going to lock it up so that 6. What's that?
6.
Yeah, I'd say 6.
Yeah, me too. You
don't got to win them all, but you got to get 6 points. Figure it out. However you do it. There's 8 points on the line. You got to get 6.
Yep. I'm with you on that. And that Friday, both Carolina and Florida, tough matchups there. But Friday nights in Carolina can be tough.
Can I ask you one question because St. Louis is relevant?
Yes.
What are your friends in the Boston media saying about the coach in St. Louis? What are they saying?
Well, that's where we're going to go, is Boston, but not for that specific topic. But I'm glad you brought it up. So, Pierre, I tweeted the other day when St. Louis moved into the playoff spot. I said, does anyone out there still want to say that that coaching firing was the right move or was justified? And people are still trying to say, well, he wasn't the problem, but he wasn't the solution either. Or, it just wasn't working there. And this is the one I can't stand, is people talking as if this is fact, but yet have no facts to back it up, saying, well, he wanted out anyways. He had 1 foot out the door to St. Louis, so he got what he wanted. It works for everyone. First of all, nobody knows that. Montgomery's never, you can speculate that, and I get where the speculation's coming from. And once he realized that it wasn't working and he got fired in Boston, yes, I do think that his attention turned to St. Louis, but this wasn't something that was planned. This was like, he didn't enter the season saying, I want out of here, and just, that's that.
Coaches
he didn't
don't do that. Coaches don't do that.
Thank you, Pierre.
Don't do that. And I'll tell you another thing. I met him at the dentist's office this summer. Mm-hmm. My son got hit in the mouth with a cross-check. Then he lost 4 teeth on the bottom part of his mouth and 1 up top. So he had to get a root canal. And the Bruins were kind enough to set it up with their trauma doctor, dentist. And Jimmy was there getting his teeth looked after. So, Ryan was in surgery and Jimmy was there. And he was so excited to coach the Bruins. He was so excited about the promise of the season. So whomever is saying that, I can tell you right now, they weren't standing next to Jimmy and I at the dentist's office in Boston. I can tell you that right now because it was just the 2 of us in a private conversation. Yep. So that's number 1. Number 2, anybody that knows him, and I tried to recruit him when he was playing in the Ontario Junior Hockey League. Mm-hmm. Okay, he played for the Pembroke Lumber Kings. Before he went to Maine. It came down to Maine and St. Lawrence, I believe. But we tried to recruit Jimmy. And tremendous character person. Not just a winner. He's a character person. Yes. He's not evaluating saying, oh, I know I need a new contract, but I still want to get out of here when I get a chance. No way. No way.
If that was the case, and you say he's a character person, he's such a character person that my guess would be he would go to them and say, look, I'm not happy, and this is just the way it is. I don't have a contract. Let's save everybody the trouble of going into the season. That wasn't the case. And I know people that know him as well, Pierre. I've never talked to him personally about this, but one of our old family friends, his son plays with Jimmy's son. Yeah. And they became really close. And he said, Murph, this guy loves it here. I can't believe they let him go. He's going to be so upset. He loved living in the Boston area. He loved his neighbors. He loved the town he lived in. He loved the community. He loved the fans. So that's just a complete fabrication.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
But yeah, I don't know how you look at that, and then you look at what's going on with the Boston Bruins, and still say that Jim Montgomery was the problem.
I know you cut some tape, so I want to, because I know how hard you work to do that, so we should do it. But I'm going to probably have
what you're saying. Yeah.
What's that?
And this ties into what we're talking about too.
Yeah, it does. And then I'm going to share something that you probably, not you, but maybe some of the fans won't like, but I'm going to tell you what's going on.
All right. So listen, for everyone who hasn't seen, last night in the Kings, and I'm sure you've heard about that Swayman and Darcy Kemper almost fought. And it didn't happen.
That's a relative term.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So anyhow, after the game, we're going to go to the fight clip, and then we're going to go to Nikita Zadorov being questioned by the media. I believe it was Fluto Shinzawa, a great reporter from The Athletic, saying, what did you think of that? Was it nice to see that Swayman wanted to stick up for his teammates? And then we're going to go to Swayman right after. So 3 clips coming up here, and then we'll explain how it's all connected.
But he's upset. Maybe he'll get both. We'll see. Darcy's goalie foul. Here they go. Darcy can get another penalty here for crossing the red line.
Yeah, Swayman came all the way out to the red line, and the linesman was telling him, hey, don't go any farther. And then Kemper,
he was run into, and that's what upset him. So then Swayman says, okay, we'll try to take a moment here to figure things out. But the Bruins stirring things up here, and I think the Kings.
You guys appreciate that Jeremy stuck up for Lucinino?
Is that what it is?
Look like it.
Okay. I don't know. No comment.
Does it feel like you're fighting the puck a little bit at this stage?
I think I want to give this team a chance to win every night, and I haven't done that in the last 2 games, so that's something that I'm going to work on, and Bradley, I'm not giving up. I'm keeping my chin up. I'm not getting the results right now, but I owe these guys better. I owe a hell of a lot of people a lot better, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
What made you challenge Kemper?
He touched one of my guys, and I think that was something that I'm not going to accept, and kudos to him. He stepped up. Just it got broken up.
Did you think they were going to let you go?
Yeah, you'd hope so, but again, it didn't happen, so we just moved forward.
Could you have used it as a way to fire yourself up too? Does that have anything to do with it?
I think it just comes down to sticking up for my teammates. I don't care who it is. It's a guy in the black and gold. You're not going to touch him without getting contested, and I care about every one of these guys like a brother, and that's just the way I felt, and I felt like it was my turn to step up.
What was your teammates' reaction to that, to standing up for them?
They were complimentary. Again, I wish we got to see it through, but again, that's something that every single one of them steps up for each other, and me especially, and Corpy. So it's just part of the game.
Okay. Before you go, Pierre, I just want to give you my quick take. That to me, based on what we saw Zadorov say, seems to me like this is a player trying to win back his teammates. I'm not saying that he's lost the room or they've there's this huge divide or anything, but as you've been saying all season, that holdout was a dark cloud over this team, and it still is, based on what we just saw there.
Yeah, it is. It is, and people aren't going to like that take, but this is what we talked about in the summer, in July when it was going off the rails. We talked about it in August when it was going off the rails. We definitely talked about it in September, and we also said as a group, you and I, that if he's not at the start of training camp, this is going to be a big problem for this team.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go look at the tapes if you don't believe me. And here's what I know. When it mattered the most, the last 12 games, that team's record is 3-8-1.
Mm-hmm.
When it mattered the most, their record is 3-8-1. They just started a West Coast road trip. They lost in Vegas 5-1. They lost in San Jose 3-1. They lost in LA in a back-to-back with San Jose 7-2. So I think what happened at the trade deadline, people are still trying to piece everything together. We're seeing the results of what happened at the trade deadline now with this team. And I believe management looked at the entire team, Jimmy, and they said, this guy's good to be part of a rebuild. This guy's not good to be part of a rebuild. This guy will be able to handle it. This guy won't be able to handle it. This is a guy we want in our room when the rebuild's going on. These are guys we don't think can handle what's going on in a rebuild. They're going to become frustrated. It's going to lead to a disintegrating workplace environment. It's not what we really want here right now. So we're going to identify the guys that need to be here. And so I think that's kind of what happened.
Let me ask you this, Pierre. And look, we're not in the room, so I'm not trying to claim I know anything that's going on. Basing it just on what we just saw there and what we have seen in some other post-game scrums or press conferences. If you're management and you're talking about looking at guys who want to be part of this going forward, and you can clearly see there's some frustration from the players with their goalie, whether it's because of the holdout, whether it's because of his play on the ice, or both, I don't know. Would you ever considering that he's the only high-end player you have right now that does not have a no trade or no movement until July 1st and could get you a heck of a return that could help that rebuild, would you ever consider moving him?
Swayman?
Yes.
No. But they don't have anybody. You tell me, if you're going to make a deal like that, because that's an important position in a rebuild, because you're going to keep you in a lot of games, especially in the middle part of the year. You might even win some for you. You tell me who they have that's better, because it's not Korpisalo.
They don't have anyone right
They don't
now.
have anybody. So I don't know.
Unless he gets back.
It goes back to my theory on Buffalo. I'm the biggest Josh Norris fan. I can tell you. I told you that many moons ago before Josh got traded. Big fan. I'll use the term I use all the time. What was a rush in Buffalo to trade Dylan Cousins?
Yeah.
What was a rush? Like, what? Why? Why would you put him with a division opponent that you're probably going to be battling with for the next 5 to 7 years, right in the wheelhouse, the prime of his career? Why would you put him there?
Yeah.
And don't tell me it's because you wanted Josh Norris all along. Look, Josh is a really good player, but he got major health issues with his shoulder.
Hurt again.
So, and look at Jimmy, Monday morning quarterback, and we said it that day.
Oh, you said it that day. And if there's anyone that knows Josh, and like you said, I mean, you've got all the respect in the world for a kid. He's a great player.
The family, the father was a really good player.
You just
by Quebec out of Michigan State, like Olympics for Team Canada. Like, no, it's not about saying, "Oh, this guy can't play." It's not about that. It's about the realistic health issues. And so, my point to you on that is to bring that one in. Who's better than Swayman in your organization? Do you have anybody?
No. So I would say, and I'm not saying they're doing this. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying this is just my hypothetical here. If you could get a goalie back in the deal.
You have to tell me who the goalie is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who you get?
You know what I'd say? You go to this offseason. I think you sit down. Who you're starting to see is forming the new leadership core. Who's going to be part of it? Obviously, they're going to want their big name goalie to be in there, and you just have everybody reset. That's how I would handle it.
Charlie Coyle. Charlie Coyle got traded to Colorado. Okay.
Yep.
Brad Marchand got traded to Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Trent Frederick got traded to Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty substantial voices and presence in that dressing room.
Don't forget Carlo.
And I'm going there last.
Yeah.
He had a big presence, but he's not a vocal guy.
No.
You're not like those other guys. So you got those 4 guys out, and Charlie McAvoy's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So, what were they expecting?
Yeah.
And I have nothing against Zadorov. I kind of think he's funny. But what was that soundbite for? And if it's a language issue, I will totally back off, because I could never go do an interview in Russian. No chance. I could never. Mm-hmm. I would understand maybe some of the question, but I could never respond in Russian. I wouldn't know how to. So maybe something got lost in translation, because he is a pretty funny guy, actually. So maybe he was trying to be witty. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that response wasn't appropriate for the way this road trip has gone and the way the last 12 games have gone. That's not kind of what you want to see at the end of a season that's gone awry.
Yep, I'm with you on that. And quickly, Pierre, before we get to our sponsors and our Q&A, another soundbite, we don't have it here, but I'm sure you've heard about it, was Jonathan Kovacevic, just saying that everybody needs to be more accountable out there. We all need to get our game together, the usual stuff when a team's going through a tough time. And then when his coach is briefed on what he said, he says, well, he needs to play better. Oh, there you go. What do you guys think about Keith throwing Kovacevic under the bus like that? I don't know what to make of that. I'm going to leave this to the former coach. What was your take on that situation?
I made one really bad mistake when I was coaching. It was my fault, totally my fault. It's almost like the Sheldon Keefe thing.
This is what I like about your mother.
And I felt really bad about it for a long time. And it was immature. It was over emotional, and it shouldn't have happened. And every day, and that's 35 years ago. Wow. I still think about it. So, yeah, or 30 years ago, I still think about it. So, it's not fun to go through. I think Sheldon Keefe gets a mulligan, but that can't happen again.
No.
I'm not Tommy Fitz. I'm not, but I know Tommy Fitz likes Kovacevic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know he does. He watched him play more than any other hockey guy because Kovacevic played at Merrimack, and Tommy's at a lot of their games because he lives right near there. But I think the GM probably said, okay, you're allowed. It's your room. You're the coach, but I would caution you on doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
I'd caution you on doing that again.
Yeah. What surprised me the most is Kovacevic, even through the ups and downs of this season, has kind of been one of the most steady guys. That's why he got rewarded with that extension.
Yeah, so
I think that's the least of the problems there. That's the only thing caught me off guard there. So
that's what I'm saying. Sometimes guys make mistakes. They misinterpret. They're over emotional. And you asked to speak to somebody. I did it. I know. And like I said, I think about it a lot.
Mulligan, move on.
Yeah,
yep.
Mulligan. Nobody's perfect.
Nope.
Like none of us are perfect, and you make mistakes. And I think that was just a mistake.
I hear you for that. All right, let's get to our sponsors. Let's tell you about TCS Customs and Logistics. As we always tell you, there we go. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics, from around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For a no-obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. And of course, our wonderful friends over at Betway. You can still go over there right now and you can get that wonderful deal on your first bet. Even if it loses, you get $200 credit. So go and sign up. This is only available for new customers. So go over there, get your account right now, right there with the QR code in front of you if you're watching, or if you're not, go to the website in the details section and create your new membership. The offer is not available in Ontario right now. You must be 18 plus, and terms and conditions apply. Let's go to my sick pick of the night.
It's time for Sick Picks, brought to you by Betway.
All right, we're going to go out to Long Island. The Columbus Blue Jackets, really struggling lately, as we've been talking about. Look like they kind of hit a wall there. Well, they're going to get a boost of energy, both emotionally and on the ice in terms of play, with some big players coming back. Good Branson coming back, Monahan coming back tonight on Long Island. I think that helps them out a lot. I like this game. I think they play a much better game. I'm leaning towards a Columbus win, but I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to give you a draw because it's draw season. It's overtime season. I think there's a ton of games going overtime lately because every point is so crucial. So take the draw there, plus 320 value. And then we're going to go down to Utah, hosting the Detroit Red Wings, who, speaking of hitting the wall, they look to be done. It's too bad, but it looks like they're going to miss another season of playoff hockey. Utah, meanwhile, is barely hanging on in the West there, but I like them in this game. I like them on the puck line, so some great value there. -1.5 at +150. That's the Utah Hockey Club at -1.5 +150. Those are my picks of the night. Pierre, before we go to the Q&A, did Utah pick a name yet? I haven't even heard yet.
I think they're down to a couple, but I don't think they've gone
Okay.
formal and said, yeah, we're going to be this or we're going to be that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been done yet. So there's still the hockey club.
I kind of like the HC. It's kind of like the soccer games, but nah, you need a name. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. What do we got? Alex Semanowski, just curious, what do you think it's going to take point-wise to get into the last wild card spot in the East and the West this year?
Well, I always kind of think 94 is the Mendoza line. I've kind of always looked at that. It doesn't mean it always is going to be exact, but it's pretty close. Jimmy, you can probably do the math and look at it right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're looking at the teams on the peripheral, like either just in or just out in the East, you've got the Canadiens at 75, the Rangers at 74. By the way, the Canadiens played 69 games. Rangers 71 games are at 74 points. Islanders 69 games at 73 points. And I don't know, Pierre, we still put Columbus in there. We'll put them in there. 69 points at 71 games. 69 games at 71 points. So how many games?
It's close to 92. It's going to be close to 92 probably in these.
Yeah, it's going to be a little lower this year, I think.
Yeah, it'll be a little lower. Yeah.
Out in the West, though, I think you're right on target, Pierre. St. Louis, 72 games, 81 points. Calgary, 69 games, 77 points. And Vancouver, 70 games, 76 points. Yeah. And Utah Hockey Club, 70 games, 75 points. So, yeah, it's somewhere in between 92 to 94, I'd say.
Yeah, that's about usually where it comes in, give or take.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell, what type of contract should the Bruins offer Geeky? That's a great question, Ethan. Looks like he's going to hit that 30-goal mark, too, if he keeps it up. He's got a pay raise coming, Pierre. What do you think?
He's going to get a raise. I don't know what the number's going to be. He's going to get a raise. Depends what the appetite is for Donnie Sweeney and the Bruins. It really does.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be the guy that it's a Boston tie-in. What's Ryan Donato going to get? 25. He's an unrestricted free agent, potentially. They didn't trade him at the deadline. He's got 25 goals. He scored 2 more in the power play yesterday. Mm-hmm. What's Ryan Donato's number going to come in at?
Pierre, it's a, I'm glad you brought up Donato, too, because I was wondering about this yesterday. And I'm glad Ethan asked about Geeky there. When you have a situation like that, and you can either maybe trade him, see what you can get if you don't think he's part of your future plans, but you keep him. Why not sign him to an extension right away? Why take the chance that he keeps increasing his value as the season goes on?
Well, it can go the other way too. Or maybe you think because we're trading some guys out, maybe he starts to go like this. Yeah. So there's 2 ways. It's a fair point that you're raising, but there's 2 ways to look at it.
All right. Next question. Filterless Bear. I know St. Louis is looking good right now, but for the playoffs, should they ditch the man-on-man defense? I'd rather see Arbor making life miserable for forwards in front of the net than chasing guys high.
It's kind of the way the league is. It's a great question, but it's a way they were so concerned about taking time and space away from guys so they can't make plays. And it's harder to defend in the slot just because you're not allowed to cross-check like you used to, and you can't hold on to guys anymore like you used to. So it's an interesting conundrum. It's a good point. I don't think they're doing away from their man-to-man. Most teams are playing a modified man-to-man anyways.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, Flames signed Quen Say. What do you think, goalie?
I don't know.
I don't know, Randy. Sorry. Not sure. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, Wings get back-to-back against Utah and Colorado tonight, and tomorrow. Fair to say that if they don't get at least 3 points, the playoffs are gone for this year. Yes.
I would say yes.
Yep. I'm surprised even still hanging on. All right, next question. Energize. Where does Pasternak stand in all this Bruin stuff? You got to think this isn't the team he signed up for. He's in his prime. Could you see a world where he asks out of Boston if things don't get better? No, I don't. I think he wants to be part of the solution. I think he wants to be part of that leadership group.
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy 100%.
Yep.
That kid's a gamer. He's a competitive guy. He's made a home in Boston. He's a fan favorite. He's a superstar player. I can't see that. Sidney Crosby is really the benchmark for all this stuff.
Yep.
He is. everybody just thinks because something's bad, all of a sudden you got to go and I don't want to stay here anymore. Sid had that chance to do it a million times.
Still does. Yep.
He could do it anytime. He's not doing it. Guys, just because it's not great doesn't mean they're bolting. They want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Guys are very competitive in this league.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you on that. And I think you've noticed it too, Pierre. I mean, ever since those trades and that leadership void was created from the trade deadline, I think Pastrnak has really taken it upon himself to fill some of that and really take that next step there as a leader. So
I agree with you.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Sound the siren. Guys, the Hurricanes have played well recently, but their lack of size, especially top six, is concerning come playoff time. What say you? I'd agree. I'm more worried about the goaltending in Carolina. That's my biggest worry about that team.
Goaltending is something you got to be concerned with. They're good on defense. They're good on penalty kill. They're good on power play. I wonder how good they're going to be in a grinding series. I'm kind of with the siren on that one. I've always felt that way about them. Martinook's a certain type of player. Stahl's a certain type of player. Those guys compete. Even Svechnikov. Those guys compete in playoff-style situations. But a lot of their other guys are smaller. There's no question. There's no question about that.
Yep. All right. Next question. Ethan Russell, what are some attributes that have led to Calgary's success, and what have they done to not run out of gas like the Blue Jackets and the Flyers from last year? I'll just say quickly, my biggest one, two biggest would be the goalie, Wolf, and then their coach.
Ryan Huska's done a great job as a coach. Dustin Wolf's been really good in goal. So has Dan Vladar. People forget about Vladar. He's done some good work there too. Go look at what he did against the Rangers last week. I mean, they got crushed by New Jersey, and then they go in and beat the Rangers. The other thing about Calgary that Nazem Kadri is way better than people talk about. Matt Coronado doesn't get nearly enough love. He's really had a tremendous season for them. And he was shuttling back and forth for a while because he didn't need waivers to get to the American Hockey League. And man, oh man, they found a spot for him. That kid's a good player. Jimmy, I told you about him before he went there. He's a good player. So they've got guys evolving internally. They've got good leadership. Naz has been great. Coleman's been good. There's a lot to like there. There's a lot to like there. And they didn't trade Rasmus Anderson.
That was huge.
Rasmus is like, I'm telling you, Jimmy, I pointed it out to you. You watch this guy play night in and night out. He's as good as any defenseman in the league.
Yep, agreed. All right, next question. Max R, what team that is having a down year would you expect to bounce back next year?
Good question. That's a good question.
A really good question. I'm going to get back to you on that, Max, if you don't mind.
I'm going to tell you when I think. Nashville.
Oh, that's a great one, Pierre. Great one. Agreed.
I think Nashville will be better next year.
Yep.
I don't know what the heck happened there to start the year, but they just got so far behind it.
They could never.
By Christmas, they couldn't get back, and they knew it. They were doomed. But I don't know what the heck happened there.
All right. Next question. A to Z me. Marty is coming back with Monty again. Seems to me like he's lost confidence in Dobis. What are you guys' thoughts on this matter? I think it's just that's your starter. This is your guy you go to.
I also think he watches a tape like Jimmy and I do, and there's a problem with Dobish's game. And the coaches know, and around the league, people know that you elevate the puck in this guy, you're going to score a lot of goals. He's going to have to adjust. He will. The coaching staff will help him adjust, the goalie coaches in particular. But he drops way too quick. NHL shooters know that now, and they're not even trying to put the puck along the ice against him. They're just elevating it all the time. So that'll have to get fixed. It's normal. It happens to almost every guy that comes into the league. They're not used to having guys that get paid a lot of money to break them down. But that's what happens in this league. And so it's one of the most underappreciated parts of what guys do behind the scenes that nobody knows who they are. They're guys that actually get paid to do that. And those guys are valuable. They are. Just nobody knows who they are.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, what kind of moves should the Flames think about for next season? Interesting.
Just keep growing your brand. I wouldn't trade Rasmus. I wouldn't be in a rush to move Nazem. I'm sure T-Bull will probably knock on your door and ask you about him. Yeah. Like to think they'd get a little bit more supplemental scoring depth. But there's not a lot at this point. Also, you got to look at where the division they're in and what's going on around them in the division. So, yeah, no, I think they're in pretty good shape going forward. I think Husk has been the most underappreciated coach in the league. We've been talking about him since the start of the year. He's done a really good job.
Yep. All right, next question. Ethan Russell, question, was the Jake Wellman trade mishandled? I hate blaming the GM, but they could really use Jake Wellman right now, and they got no return in that trade.
Are you talking about San Jose?
Which trade, Ethan? That's all, because he's been traded twice, right? So
that's what I mean. Like, which team are you talking about?
If it's the first one, the Wings really botched it, in my idea.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I don't know which one he's talking about. So
I think that's what he is. But Ethan, just clarify that for us. Thanks. All right, next question. Alex B. Smith. What's up, Alex? Do you see Chicago trading the number one pick? Should they win the lottery this year? Package it with players to get a number one center and move Bedard permanently to right wing. They do have a lot coming, Pierre.
They got a lot coming.
I mean, if you could get some,
they got a lot coming.
Established bodies in return.
They got a lot coming. No, that's why I'm hesitating. I'm thinking, I'm trying to get everything processed here. That's a really good question. It's a great thought, actually. I don't know if they do it, but it might be a way to speed everything up a little bit because they got young guys coming. They got guys coming. Now, we don't know how good they're going to be, but right now they got guys coming.
Yeah. All right, next question. Has McAvoy lived up to his potential, or do you feel he hasn't reached expectations? I think he hasn't lived up to his potential yet, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think the ceiling still. I think he has room to grow. That's the way I put it. Like, I'm not trying to say he's played horrible or anything. I just think he can be better.
They have to decide what they want him to be.
Great point there, Pierre.
They have to decide, do you want to be a big minute muncher who shuts people down, or do you want him to be a hybrid where he can play a little bit of matchup but also create points? Or do you want him to be a guy that just is all about offense? You have to figure it out. It's a lot like Rasmus Dahlin. Rasmus Dahlin and Charlie McAvoy are almost the same. You got to figure out what you want him to be and then tell him and coach him that way. Because both of them huge talent. And the other part of the Bruins thing that's very unfortunate, Hampus Lindholm was a massive loss.
Oh, gosh.
Massive loss for them. And nobody wants to talk about it. I'm not sure it was really wise to let Grizzly go either, if you want to know the truth. I know they wanted to get a bigger body, and that's why they went and got Zadorov. But
they missed his puck moving for sure.
They did. They're not a hard team to forecheck now, especially without McAvoy, Lindholm, and Grizzlick out. Like, they're not a hard team to forecheck now.
Teams have been feeding on them lately. All right, next question. FFFF. Hello, guys. Can you see Montreal offer sheeting a center this summer, or trading the safe way to proceed?
I don't know about offer sheeting, but I think they're probably going to trade for something. So I'll give you an example because it's such a good question. It really is. Brock Nelson. Okay, people saw Brock Nelson the other night in Montreal. They see Charlie Coyle in Montreal playing for Colorado. See the value of those players, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Like, Brock Nelson had a real good game. You see Charlie Coyle deeper in the lineup had a really good game. So you see that in Montreal and you say, okay, this is not a knock on anybody, including, Newhook. It's not a knock on him at all. But imagine Newhook's speed on the wing, with a center and Laine playing on the other side, like with a really good, let's say it was Brock Nelson. How would the Canadiens be with Suzuki, Brock Nelson, Owen Beck, and Jake Evans? Would that be a good center ice position?
Yep.
I think it would. So the answer is, I think they got to get a second center because they don't have it in-house. And if Kirby Doc's family and friends are watching, it's nothing to do with Kirby. He had his chance. I just think that he might be better suited to be a winger, like a third-line winger there.
Yeah, and hopefully he can stay healthy. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, the Blue Jackets are getting healthy. Do you agree with the decision to move Monahan to first-line center over Fantilli? Also looks like he has now replaced him on PP1. I say no, but I get why.
Yeah, we're the same. I say no, but I get why too. The Monahan's got the pedigree. Fantilli's still learning the business. It's okay. It's not going to hurt him. That won't hurt him.
By the way, Ethan was talking about the Detroit trade to San Jose.
Oh, yeah, well,
we 100% agree, Ethan.
That's why we're like, which one are you talking about? yeah, we agree.
Yeah. All right, next question. Gabriel Lamb, will they expand the NCAA ice hockey tournament since more teams will be moving to Division One?
I don't know. I wish they would. I also have a different thought on how they pick the teams. But I gave, we're not talking about it, Jimmy, because it was a confidential conversation, but I gave Jimmy some different ideology about what used to happen when they were picking teams for the tournament. And I just think they got to redefine how they pick teams for the tournament.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell, how many college free agents should Boston target? I feel like there's no risk and only a high reward with some of these players.
But it's a fair question, but here's the problem, Ethan. If you bring all these guys in, you got to have places for them to play. And I can tell you right now, I'm going through it at a personal level with my own son. There's plenty of teams that have interest, but you got to find out places where there's actually room for them to play. So if you have an agent, your agent says, oh, go there, and then you go there, and all you do is your meat on the hoof. You're just practicing. That's not good. So you got to figure out places where you can go play. And if you bring in too many, because Boston's already got draft picks too, it's not such a smart thing. And then you could have some major internal stuff. So you got to be really smart about how you do it. Really smart.
Considering, though, like we just agreed earlier in the show, Pierre, that they don't have a lot in their system, do you think maybe a one or two guys, maybe just to kind of?
That's fine. That's good. My thing is there are guys there now. Some of them are older that are good players. And if Providence is going to go on a run in the American Hockey League playoffs, they need those guys. They're not going to win with kids. That's what I'm saying. So where are the kids going to play? And most kids right now that aren't playing, there are only 16 teams left in college. And after Thursday and Friday, there's only going to be 8. So, you got to make sure if you're an agent, you got to make sure your guys going to the right place so they can play.
All right, next question. Ron LaRoe, who will be the biggest name going to Canadian senior hockey?
Oh, Jimmy, I'm going to let you answer this one. And all I'm going to say is don't go north of the border if you answer that question the way I think you will, because there'll be a lot of people looking for you.
I don't know if I want to answer that yet, Pierre. I don't know. But I do think if I was a few college hockey perennial powers that had down years, I would be looking into a player that just torched the record books in the CHL, and I think we all know who I'm talking about. That's all.
Plays for the Medicine Hat Tigers. Does that help?
Well, now it's there. You got to look into McKenna if you're a top end team.
Jimmy, when did we bring him to the attention of the people that watched the eye test? How long ago?
Last year, last spring, I believe, maybe even earlier. It's going to be very interesting. And though somebody was really coming at me on, I didn't say this on Twitter, but we were just talking about players that might come down from Canada. And somebody was trying to say, Pierre, but I think I'm right when I say this. The agreement's in place right now, effective August 5th, is it, I believe?
There are tons of guys that have already committed.
Yeah.
I got major junior coaches calling me, asking me to help them place players.
Yeah, somebody was trying to say, no, that's not official yet. It's not happening.
Okay.
I think you've been living.
I'll take you at your word, but I know what I'll be watching next year.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyhow, is that it? I think that might be it. Yep, that's it for our questions, Pierre. And as you see there are all the places you can follow us and listen to the show down below there. Again, big thanks to everyone up in Lake Placid for an amazing weekend. Really enjoyed it. We're working on something. Could be another remote in the works for a week from Thursday. So we will keep you posted on that as the week goes on. Thanks to our wonderful staff up in Montreal, working the boards there. And thanks to you, the listeners and viewers. We appreciate it. Pierre, you have a wonderful night. Enjoy the hockey. Anything? I
think I'm gonna watch Columbus and the Islanders.
That's one I'm looking at.
I'm definitely watching Johnny Hines in Minnesota against Dallas.
Yeah, What a credit. By the way, John Hines deserves a ton of credit. There's so many coaches that have done amazing jobs this year. And, I don't know if he's going to be in the top 3. I don't think so. But what he's done with such a depleted squad, Pierre, it's unreal.
Hey, Jack Capuano's there too. He's done an amazing job as well. Jackie, he really I see all these different names being thrown around for head coaching jobs. He like nobody, because he doesn't leak to the media. That's why he doesn't leak. He should be. Trust me, I work with the guy. He's really good. Yeah. He's a really good coach. So he should always be mentioned with all. But he doesn't leak. Like he's not media savvy that way. He's smart. He's trying to win games. So.
Another game too. I'll be keeping an eye on too. The Canucks and Devils, I think, is going to be a good one too. So lots of hockey on a Monday night. Enjoy. We will talk to you tomorrow here on the ice.
Hold it. You think the Canucks jersey game is going to be good?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because I think the Devils are going to come back. They're going to answer their coach's call. And I think that the Canucks are playing for their playoff lives as well. So okay. I just think there's a lot.
I hope you're right.
All right.
I hope you're right.
Is Patrick Demko confirmed yet, Pierre? I haven't seen
that.
Nancy might play. That's what I've been hearing all day. So if he does, let's hope he can come back strong. All right. Next show tomorrow here, 4:00 Eastern, the eye test on the Sick Podcast Network. Until then.
Good job, Jimmy. Good job.
See you guys.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the eye test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.